Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Off the Chain AMA by BitMart. My name is Kelechi Ibe. I'm representing BitMart, and I'm joined by our friends at Fenbushi Capital as a fellow host. Before we dive into the topic of today's AMA, I would like to take a brief moment to express our deepest sympathies for the families affected by the recent earthquake that took place in Turkey and Syria. Definitely a devastating event that took place. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with everyone affected by this great tragedy. So today we'll be discussing the significance of the Ethereum's Shanghai upgrade and its impact on DeFi and the overall Ethereum ecosystem. This is obviously a very exciting and timely topic, and we are honored to have a panel of experts to shed some light on this subject. We are going to have two different panels for today's AMA. The first panel will discuss the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade, while the second panel will focus on its impact on DeFi and the Ethereum ecosystem at large. So I would like to take a moment to introduce our moderators. For our first panel moderators, we have Peter Yang, the Managing Director at Fenbushi Capital, and we have Victoria Feng, the VP of Business Development and Accelerator Director at BitMart. For our second panel of moderators, we have Kaimin Hu, the Chief Business Officer at BitMart, and we have Chloe Wang, Public Relations at Fenbushi Capital. Before we get started, we would like to announce that we're giving away a 500 USDT to 10 lucky winners, with each winner receiving 50 USDT each. And how we're going to do this is at the conclusion of each panel, we'll pose a quiz question, and participants who answer correctly will be randomly selected to be our 10 lucky winners, and they will be notified within 72 hours on how to claim their prize. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Peter Yang to begin our first panel. Peter, over to you.
Hey, thanks for the intro, and thank you all for joining. And as many of you may know, Ethereum will be undergoing its Shanghai hard fork next month. And as a result, we have invited a few guests to share a bit of insight on this event. And before we start, I guess, can we have our panelists conduct a brief introduction about themselves? And I guess I'll pick on Mirko to start.
All right, cool. Thanks for having us, and thanks for setting up the panel here. Very excited, and definitely Ethereum is a big upgrade, and it has a lot of significance. So I'm looking forward to chatting. My name is Mirko. I'm the CEO and co-founder of StakeWise.com. We are leading data provider and research platform for staking, and generally we just help investors to get into staking and help to make staking easy and safe by providing data. We have rewards calculator. We do a lot of research. We have a verified provider program that makes it easy for people to choose staking providers. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
Awesome. Next, would Curtis give a quick intro as well?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Peter, for setting everything up. Yeah, my name is Curtis. I lead business development at Stake. We are a staking service provider, so we run validators on behalf of primarily institutions across about 40 different proof of stake assets today. But we continue to add more as new chains come onto mainnet. As of last year, we were acquired by Kraken, so we are technically a Kraken company, although we still operate under the Staked brand for a lot of our clients. We also primarily act as a non-custodial staking service provider, so Most of the institutions that we work with are usually either self-custodying or using a custody provider to work with us. But yeah, we've been participants for ETH2 staking since the Beacon chain launched almost 2 years ago now, maybe even more than that. And so we've excited to share our thoughts on how that's changed over time. And obviously with the London fork and the Shanghai fork, those are the two sort of biggest upgrades we've seen in our 2+ years of doing this. So happy to share insight.
Awesome. Thanks, Curtis. Next, can Benjamin from Figment do a quick intro?
Sure. Thanks, Peter. So I'm an ETH analyst at Figment. On the protocol team. So obviously spend most of my time looking at all things Ethereum. Obviously, the Shanghai fork is very interesting to me, but also just more broadly, the Ethereum ecosystem itself. So, I think interest in L2, specifically rollups, will become more interesting this year. There's some other things going on. Obviously, MEV, very interesting topic, as well as distributed validator tech. So all things Ethereum ecosystem. And for folks maybe not as aware of Figment, you can think of Figment as the complete staking solution for institutions. We support a wide range of Web3 networks. We provide staking API services, rewards reporting, partner integration, research, data, the list goes on. If you want to learn more about Figment, you can check out our Twitter at Figment_IO, or just to keep tabs on us. So that's me and Figment in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. And Kirill from StakeWise.
Hey, thanks, Peter. Hey, everyone. Kirill here from StakeWise. I'm one of the core contributors to our liquid staking protocol, primarily dealing with commercialization of the protocol as well as its marketing efforts. We are a top 5 liquid staking protocol on Ethereum and the leading protocol on the Gnosis chain. Liquid staking is a hot topic these days, and we're very happy to contribute to the conversation here around Shanghai. You can learn more about StakeWise by visiting our Twitter profile and learning more from our Medium.
Awesome. And finally, Adam from SSV Network.
Hey guys, good to be here and thanks for having us. So I'm working on a project called SSV Network, which is basically the first and today one of the only DVT implementations in the Ethereum ecosystem. DVT stands for Distributed Validator Technology. And our mission is sort of to decentralize Ethereum's validation layer, make sure the protocol is safe and accessible to anyone who wants to participate for years to come. So great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone. And for our first question, for most of our listeners who may not be familiar with the upgrade, can you guys explain what happens when the Shanghai fork is completed, as well as its significance? And is there any other significant upgrade that we should kind of expect after this? Any volunteers?
I can take that. Kirill here from StakeWise. Yeah, so Shanghai is, I guess, a monumental moment for Ethereum, mostly because of the fact that it's just signaling the final step in the transition to the proof of stake system that Ethereum kickstarted over 2 years ago. I think at the time, many people expected the withdrawals to come sooner. I mean, we're going to get to withdrawals, the Shanghai fork to come sooner, but here we are 2 years later and it's still 2 months away. So what Shanghai is actually an upgrade to Ethereum that allows users who stake their ETH to execute full withdrawals of their validators from the network, which in normal speak means just stop staking and withdraw all staked assets. And do partial withdrawals, which means essentially start receiving all of the earnings that accrue on the validators in liquid form periodically. And I think this event is monumental for 2 reasons. One, people will finally have the confidence to stake, knowing that there's always an exit route. And while liquid staking protocols have kind of been filling in for this gap, I believe there's still a lot of interest from sidelined capital to be sort of participating in staking, but until now there wasn't basically a clear path out. So for those, especially those who stake in size, this is the final signal that the withdrawals will help them sort of start their staking journey. And then for some people, the Shanghai fork is seen as something basically a little negative that's going to create a lot of selling pressure from all of the unlocked Ethereum. So it's it definitely doesn't leave anyone sort of impartial to what's happening, and a lot of eyes are on Ethereum these days, trying to see what's going to be the outcome of Shanghai.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a milestone that's been everyone's been anticipating for a while, and that thank you for the very elaborate explanation. But I was wondering if any other panelists would also like to kind of add on to that.
Sure, I might just have a few more points to add. So I think very good description. I just add that just to kind of frame things up a little bit. In terms of withdrawals themselves, that's kind of the headline of Shanghai. There are some others, some gas saving measures and some other things going on with the EVM. But yeah, withdrawals obviously the headline. But interestingly, in terms of kind of the two major withdrawals, partial and kind of full withdrawals. So if you're exiting as a validator, there aren't really any new options at your disposal as a validator. It's more thinking it's better framed, I think, in terms of just turning on withdrawals. So today validators can request to exit the validator set, but right now you're just kind of stuck in limbo. Once you go through the wait period, your ETH is just kind of locked, and so after Shanghai will be swept to your withdrawal address. Likewise on the partial withdrawal side, that's something that's automatic. So as a validator, you can't control that. That's just something that's going to happen. Any amount above 32 ETH will be swept to your withdrawal account. So just kind of framing things a little bit. And then just the other thing, I think the second question was, what's coming next after Shanghai? It's kind of interesting, up to about October of last year, there was more talk about including bigger upgrades in Shanghai. So there are kind of three broad buckets of kind of some bigger things. So withdrawals was one of them. Also proto-dank sharding, which is scaling on Ethereum. And then EVM object format, which has to do with EVM bytecode. So those were things that were all being considered, later last year. But then since October to now, the core devs kind of progressively took those out as they prioritized withdrawals and a deadline around March for Shanghai. So I think in a roundabout way, the answer to the second part is those are the things that are coming. In particular, I think proto-dank sharding is pretty interesting. It's going to be a stepping stone to full dank sharding, which for folks aware of the so-called roll-up centric roadmap to scaling Ethereum is a very important part of scaling Ethereum to a kind of global scale and making it kind of the global computer.
Yeah, I'd maybe add here, just to put into perspective the scalability goals here with proto-dank sharding and in general rollups. Ethereum's goal is to get to 100,000 transactions per second. And this is pretty ambitious, knowing where we are starting off. But with the technology that we're bringing, the foundation is bringing to our network, we can expect rollups like Optimism to take up to 100 times more transactions per second than we can today. And we're not talking about just Optimism, we're talking about other rollups too. So collectively, I think this is a major improvement in usability for Ethereum that's coming down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Very interesting insights, and yeah, very curious to see what happens after, and really looking forward to that as well. I guess for now that we have a little bit of background knowledge on the Shanghai fork, for my next question is, as ETH stakers can withdraw their staked ETH after the upgrade, how do you guys see, this will affect financial instruments such as liquid staking derivatives, and what will be kind of some of their reactions from the key providers? And do you think it'll have any impact on other protocols, especially on different layer 2s?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to take the floor all just to myself, but as someone from StakeWise, I'd love to comment. So I can go second if anyone wants to go first.
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Alrighty, thank you. Yeah, so I think it's an excellent question, and that the one that many people in the industry are pondering. So with ETH stakers being able to withdraw staked ETH after the upgrade, liquid staking protocols are going to be pretty significantly affected just in terms of the mechanics of Ether flows. So far, it has been only going one way, and being stuck on the exit side, and now that capital can be withdrawn from validators, a bunch of new things are going to happen. First, I believe, is that partial withdrawals, which means essentially skimming the rewards from the validators, will mean that more validators will be launched by liquid staking protocols through just automatic reinvestment. And what this means effectively for the user is that auto compounding that many people might have expected has already been happening, but in actuality it wasn't, will finally start. So for liquid staking protocols, this means higher yields that can be given to users, but also higher fees for the treasury in case some fees are collected for these protocols, sort of treasuries. There's also essentially a significant consideration around liquidity. So people broadly expect that with withdrawals becoming enabled, liquidity is probably not going to matter as much for liquid staking protocols growth, but we see that this may not necessarily be the case, owing to the fact that the major utility of liquid staking protocols and their liquidity tokens are major integrations across DeFi protocols, and these largely depend on price oracles, which is technical term for knowing what the actual price of an asset is in the secondary market. Which means that liquidity must still be there. The asset must be traded across different venues without considerable slippage and volatility, and liquidity is still going to be needed even when people can redeem their LSDs for the underlying ETH. But then I guess many people also wonder if people can withdraw ETH, will this impact the sort of competitive situation in the market with, for example, organizations at the top like Lido and centralized exchanges potentially losing market share. In our opinion, it's pretty unlikely that there's going to be a loss in market share by Lido, for example, just owing to the fact that if people wanted to withdraw from Lido at any point in time, until now, they actually had this ability. And then what we do think what could happen is that the providers like Coinbase and Binance, who had their tokens in liquid form, could lose market share because at some point they did have some discount, which was closed due to people arbing that discount and expecting the parity to finally emerge once withdrawals are enabled. So these tokens have been acquired on the market and can be redeemed for ETH once Shanghai goes live, potentially reducing the market share of Coinbase and Binance. But But then again, these guys can always find additional sources of ETH for their products. There's a bunch of more stuff that I can talk about, but I'll probably stop here and let someone else comment in addition to what I said.
Sure, maybe I'll take it away. Maybe someone else. All right. So basically, I think there's an ongoing debate in the space around LSDs and if they're going to become less important with the Shanghai update. And I think you touched, a few of those points. But I think the kind of indication we're seeing in the space is that they're becoming a lot more important and a lot more pronounced over time. So in the beginning, there were only a few kind of major companies, projects, operators that offered those derivatives, and now you're seeing anyone and everyone kind of going towards that direction. So you have Coinbase, obviously, which was a big move on their part, all the way to more institutional level players like Alluvial and others. So I think the clear indication is that LSDs are going to become more important and more ubiquitous in the space. That's pretty clear. So that's essentially one thing. I think one interesting kind of phenomenon we're seeing recently in the space is that basically there's kind of a separation between LSD as being its own product and its own layer and the backend, right? So the operator side of things and running a validator. So I think StakeWise V3 is a very good example. So StakeWise V3, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but is more focusing towards creating a layer of an LSD with its own liquidity and its own like open access to anyone who wants to take use of that instead of going like the more traditional Lido-like solution where you have all across the stack. So to have an LSD all the way to running operators and having that like infrastructure in the backend. So I think that's going to be super interesting. Thanks for that confirmation. I think those kind of projects and protocols are going to be more and more specialized over time. So I mentioned StakeWise V3. There's obviously Lido V2 that kind of announced their new protocol or the new solution. I think it was yesterday or in the last 2 days, and RPL are also gearing towards creating something similar. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I think we as SSV Network have a pretty important role to play in this like scenario because what we tackle is basically the infrastructure layer, so to make it as decentralized and as secure as possible. And I think that kind of correlates very well to the future of LSDs and the future of staking pools. So if you go create a layer of LSD, which is essentially an open source protocol everybody can take leverage of on the liquidity level. But it's decentralized all across the stack, and it doesn't rely on a single operator or a group of operators. You have kind of this open infrastructure also in the back end. I think that's a very, very powerful offering, and this is something we kind of saw coming as a project 2 years back, and it's one of the major reasons for us to kind of start working heavily on creating this DVD offering towards the Shanghai update, which I think is going to be obviously meaningful for the space, but particularly for us as well. So I'll just end it with a few predictions. I think, again, LSDs are going to become a lot more important. There's going to be separation between LSDs and the infrastructure layer. I think because of the ability to move between projects, users are going to enjoy a lot more freedom of choice. And essentially the space is going to become more commoditized, so more of the rewards will essentially flow to the hands of the users and the stakers and less to the actual operators and companies like us who are running the backend. And I think movability is going to be a tough battle moving forward. So we are seeing TVL in the world of DeFi, how one project can get a lot of it one day and the second day can get none of it. And I think the same or something pretty similar will apply to the Ethereum staking space as well. And I think it's going to be an interesting battle to see. And eventually the users are going to essentially come out as winners. So that's obviously good for everyone. That's basically it.
Makes sense. Curtis, I don't know if you also want to chime in as well. I know you want to speak as well.
No, I think everyone covered most of it, right? It sounds like the biggest change really is going to be capital efficiency being the primary use case, right? So before withdrawals, I think most people were interested in liquid staking derivatives because of the inability to withdraw, and they wanted liquidity if they needed it for whatever reason. But now that withdrawals are available, I think if people are using it, it's because they want to deposit those into DeFi protocols, lend it, put it into liquidity pools, whatever it is, earn an extra 1, 2, 3% on top of the 7% they're already earning from staking, right? So that's a significant increase in return. That's my guess, right? Secondly, I think one interesting thing to potentially consider is there is actually a queue, right, or a limit to how many validators can come online. It's around 900 a day, and presumably, and again, we don't know, but presumably, if that queue is very long, there might be a scenario where LSDs actually trade at a premium instead of a discount, just because it takes so long to start earning via staking.
That's actually a very interesting point, and yeah, very interesting perspectives on the different LSD component. And for the other questions, I will hand off to Victoria to kind of continue our discussion.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you so much again for having all of you guys for joining us. So since we're already talking about the liquidities and then we're talking about stakings, and I know there's a lot of staking tools available on the market for each individual and also for institutions. I kind of want to have some ideas from you guys. Do you have some maybe recommendations for what kind of staking pool or maybe some service providers is better we can choose, and maybe there's also some other specific details and people should be aware, especially I guess for people not has been working in the crypto for too long. So we'd love to know some advice from you guys.
Yeah, maybe.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I can chime in here. I think first off, for now, it's actually it's a perfect time to stake, because it's just the Shanghai upgrade is massively de-risking staking across all different providers. And especially as we just heard for liquid staking, now that ETH is redeemable as well. So it's a massive de-risk for the entire sector. So it's definitely a great way for anyone who is not into staking yet to start staking. And there is to date just 14% of the network being staked. So we definitely expect that there's much more stake to be unlocked over the coming months and years. And I think, yeah, as we already discussed, liquid staking is gaining more importance over time. And it's definitely will probably continue to be one of the most feasible options for any user to stake. And then there are many solutions. Some on the panel here, StakeWise, and then others like Rocket Pool, Lido, and more. And obviously these are very good solutions to get started. At the same time, for anyone who would like to support network decentralization even more and is has enough ease, then it's always recommended to just run your own validator as well, which just requires some more effort, but it just really helps to contribute to the network security as well, which is the beauty about staking itself, that anyone can participate and actually contribute to the network decentralization and security. And yeah, apart from that, there are obviously a lot of other solutions, and I think it's just important that someone who's looking to stake just doing proper due diligence on the provider or pool or service that they're using, and make sure they are familiar with it, but also don't stress out too much about it. There are many great solutions in the market already for any type of comfort level, I would say.
Lovely. Thank you so much for provide those kind of insight. And I heard somebody else also wants to jump in.
Yeah, maybe I'll add something really quick. I think Mirko is probably one of the biggest experts in the world on which staking solution should you choose if you're going to stake your ETH or any other token, but I'll just try to contribute a little further. I think staking in Ethereum generally is going to become a lot more specialized. So you're going to have a lot of different solutions that have very specific use case and kind of target a very specific cohort. So if Lido is kind of the gorilla in the room, and they attracted a lot of ETH from institutions and obviously retail stakers, I think in the future it's going to be a lot more segmented. So there are going to be solutions for institutional staking and institutional staking plus LSDs, and specific solutions for DAOs, specific solutions for retail users who are looking for additional DeFi risk, and the list goes on and on. So I think right now what we're seeing today is a lot of innovation coming in the space. I mean, we had 2 years more or less where not a ton happened in terms of adoptions of new solutions and innovation. But Shanghai and the recent changes happening in Ethereum, I think are going to usher in a ton of changes and a ton of innovation, a ton of new solutions for everyone to choose from. I'll just want to plug in something real quick. So there's an actual article in CoinDesk from today about the SEC potentially banning staking services offered by exchanges. So I think this is a super important point. I think as the industry grows and becomes more important and bigger in terms of e-staked and in terms of Ethereum usage overall, we're going to have a target on our back. So I think whatever you're choosing in terms of your sort of staking flavor and solution and DeFi strategy on top of your staked ETH and so on and so forth, I think it's super important to kind of be minded to decentralization and to being anti-fragile, because I think this is going to be an increasingly important topic, and I think the scrutiny from governments in the US and all over the world is going to become even more severe in the future. And I think we should vote with our ETH and try to choose services that kind of improve the overall health of the ecosystem and contribute to Ethereum overall, and obviously have the user's safety and security in mind. And that's decentralization first and foremost. So yeah, that's it.
That's an excellent point. I fully subscribe to that.
Thank you. I think we're running out of time for the first session, and I want to thank again for all of you guys to share all of these amazing information with us. So I'm going to hand it to Kaimin for our second panel for the current trend in DeFi.
Real quickly before we go over to the second panel, we would like to announce briefly that we are doing a quiz. So first of all, I just want to thank the first panel, Victoria, Peter, and our guest speakers. Personally, I really learned a lot. I feel more confident in having an educated discussion about the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. So as an ETH holder myself, I'm really excited to these new development coming up soon, and just excited that it gives more people freedom to stake their ETH, and especially with the fall of a lot of centralized and lending and borrowing platform, this couldn't come at a much perfect time for the industry. So next we will proceed with our quiz segment real quickly. Remember, for our audience, you can win 50 USDT if you get the answer right to the question. All participants will need to click on the pinned tweet found on the Twitter space and follow the instructions and provide the answers to the questions. So the first question is, when was margin trading officially launched on BitMart? So that's the first question. When was margin trading officially launched on BitMart? As you can see in the pinned tweets, there's a hint on how you can actually find this answer. So that's a quick tip there. So that's it for the quiz. So best of luck to everybody. And now I'll hand it over to Kaimin and Chloe for the panel.
ready. Can everyone be able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Chloe.
perfect. All right, so hey guys, welcome to the second panel for the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade and its impact on the DeFi industry. So before we start off today, I will do a quick introduction of the second panel moderators. So my name is Chloe. I'm currently the public relations person at Fenbushi Capital, and we're the first and most active blockchain-focused venture capital in Asia, which was founded back in 2015. And then for those of you that want to connect or learn more about us, just feel free to follow our Twitter account. So next, I will invite Kaimin to introduce himself.
Hey everybody, glad being here. I'm serving as Chief Business Officer at BitMart Exchange, mainly focused on incubation, investment, and the listing for sure. So happy, very happy, being here and talk about this, Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. And in this panel, we'll discuss, the mainly focus on the DeFi and also on DID as well. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much for me. Yeah, I'll talk more later on.
All right, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. So today we're honored to have like a group of talented and innovative projects here to discuss this important topic with us. And then each of those projects is working on different aspects of DeFi, and they each bring their own unique perspectives and expertise to the table. So we're excited to hear their thoughts on the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade and about the DeFi industry in general. To kick things off, I would like to ask each project to introduce themselves first. Let's start with, let's see who is on the speaker right now.
Let's start with Curtis.
Yeah.
Boba.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Curtis Schlaufman. I'm the global head of marketing at Enya Labs, which is the core contributor to Boba Network, a layer 2 optimistic rollup. We're the only multi-chain layer 2, currently on 4 different chains: Ethereum, Moonbeam, BNB, and Avalanche. Almost slipped my mind right there. We also are the only layer 2 that allows dApp developers and blockchains to connect with any off-chain API. And we are really working towards and looking forward to all of the advancements on Ethereum coming up.
Amazing. Can we, I'm just trying to see who is on speaker right now. Oh, perfect. Daniel is connecting. I think you can go ahead to introduce.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm Daniel, and I'm one of the co-founder of Verilog Solutions. So we are a bunch of security engineer and industrial researchers. We have been around for many years, and all our protocols, including some of them like listening over here, are actually our clients. Basically, at Verilog, we focus mostly on the security aspects of the protocols. Like we basically audited all kinds of like smart contracts before, from decentralized exchange to decentralized lending protocol to like NFT. Like basically we have experience on every aspect of the Web3 industry, and we also help the protocol to grow, providing some suggestions and incubation service and consulting service. And one of the listeners here, Dex, is also another of our co-founders. So when we talk about like he's Maxi, so like when we talk about like Shanghai upgrade or this kind of like Ethereum 2.0 stuff, like he can also jump on board to discuss. But yeah, this is us. We are security engineers, and we are a bunch of like security experts. So if you like, we're happy to help the ecosystem as well.
All right, thank you, Daniel, for the introduction. The second, I will introduce Cole to everyone.
Hey everybody, this is Cole Kennelly, founder and CEO of Volmex Labs. At Volmex, we build the Volmex implied volatility indices, the BVIV index, the EVIV index, and a number of linked products. Great to be here. Thanks everyone.
All right, perfect. And then following, let's introduce DeSyn. Can you be able to hear me?
Yeah, I guess it's for Lino, right?
Hi. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Leno. Hi. So I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Design Protocol. So we focus on primarily decentralized asset management because we believe actually what happened over the past years really tragedies for everyone here. We believe they need asset management business need new changes, innovations. So we believe actually decentralized asset management is the future. Because it provides more transparency and openness, more collaboration, and it's good for the industry going forward. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And then next we're gonna go with Jack.
Hello everyone, my name is Jack. I'm the co-founder of Aspecta. So Aspecta is a AI-generated identity for pioneer builders and beyond. We aim to create a interactive identity ecosystem across Web 2 and Web 3 with our innovative AI layer. Very happy to join our AM today and looking forward to share more ideas with everyone here. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And then next we have Sonali.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. My name is Sonali. I'm from DeFiYield. I work as head of relations. And so I essentially manage our strategic partnerships with like the top blockchains in the world and the awesome DeFi protocols that are built on them. And so I work with them when it comes to anything with integrations and marketing collaborations and also PR. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. I think that's pretty much everyone. And then thank you guys so much for coming today. So to start off, we're just going to start with the first question. So how does the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade fit into the wider context of innovation and growth in the blockchain and DeFi space? And what impact do you think it will have on the industry as a whole? So I think I'm just going to randomly call Sonali to start out first.
All right. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I know there's been a big like story around just stakers and and then what's going to happen once they are ready to sort of like claim so I think there's some concern around that potentially dropping the dropping ETH a bit, but I don't know. It's very interesting because there's also a lot that's happening with ETH. There's, as we saw in the last week, there's been a very interesting kind of like market correction. We don't know like how long this is going to last or if this is a bull trap, I guess you can say, but we shall see. We just kind of have to wait it out. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening right now for like Ethereum that even though with the Shanghai fork, there's what's happening with Uniswap and various like projects that are also now being built. So I don't know. We shall see. There's some interesting, I think, pushback in that department.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sonali. So we all noticed that this upgrade mainly are focused on a maximal extractable value. MEV, which is something that those layer 2s are already working on. So I would kind of love to hear from you, Curtis. From Boba's direction, such an upgrade, how's that they're going to change the product direction, the decision making direction for Boba network in the future?
Right. I mean, from a business perspective and Boba network, I think with all layer 2s at the moment, it's a race to the bottom for transaction fees. Transaction speed, that's always a plus, but all of the blockchains, especially layer 2s, they're working towards decentralization. But at the moment, they're not necessarily decentralized because there are still people behind them working and building on them. They haven't been fully fledged and gone off and been released to the foundations and have had autonomous developers working within those ecosystems. So as further upgrades come out for Ethereum and drive the transaction fees down lower and lower, Not necessarily going to happen with Shanghai, that was put off. But that's going to present an interesting business case for the likes of Optimism, Arbitrum, and us as well, because you're not necessarily generating revenue. And of course, we are all VC funded, and VCs all expect a return on their investment. So we'll have to pivot in ways in which we have to find actual business use case that'll generate revenue that is efficient, repetitive, and scalable. This is good for the industry to, on an economic perspective, to drive further user value for cheap and fast transactions. But it's going to force a lot of the companies behind the layer twos to innovate on the product side, particularly with maybe some additional blockchain infrastructure solutions that'll add additional value to those ecosystems, whether that be with gaming products, further infrastructure products within DeFi that enable people to get through these ecosystems in a more seamless and frictional way. So just breaking it down from a higher level view, all of these upgrades are focused on the economic perspective. I think these upgrades are going to force a lot of the companies that are building out these ecosystems to actually start focusing on user interfaces and user experiences to make swapping, trading, utilizing all the protocols in these ecosystems a lot more user friendly to actually encourage mass adoption.
Hey, yo, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so I feel like, as for myself, as an investor perspective, for any mainnet or layer 2 or say any DeFi project, staking and TVL are kind of correlated, heavily correlated to the price, and also the value. So how does either Co or Linao think about this? For from your perspective, how does because right now after the Shanghai upgrade, right, the staking will be something completely changed from the previous. So how do you think that going to impact your TVL, your into the future TVL, or say the future price pegging? Co, you there? Or Daniel can take it. Yeah, Daniel can take it. Yeah,
Hi.
Feel free.
Yeah, cool. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Cool. Yeah. So to be honest, let's thinking about these questions in long term scope. Like let's check out like the entire roadmap of Ethereum. I think the Shanghai lockup, the unlock, actually it's not a huge event, to be very honest, in the entire Ethereum roadmap. That's my personal perspective towards like the people who worry about Ethereum unlock. If you check on-chain activity recently, you will see recently most of the people are still like playing a lot of like NFTs. Currently the top gas burners are either like the OpenSea Seaport contract or the Blur contract. I think the Blur is going to release the token, do token airdrop on the February 14th. So I think a bunch of people are like doing trading on the Blur right now. I think if we're thinking a really long term, the entire Ethereum ecosystem is powering so many protocols and developing interesting stuff, right? Like, so to be very honest, I think liquid staking or even like Ethereum unlock is actually a very tiny event considering the entire roadmap of the Ethereum. So in terms of like the short-term prediction on the Ethereum price, there are many assumptions we have to make. First of all, like if we assume current macroeconomics unchanged until that time, right? If everything's unchanged and only consider the sell pressures of Ethereum, I think rough calculation is there around like 5.7 to 5.8 thousands of Ethereum going to go to the market every day. But if we also check the Ethereum ultrasonic, you will see the Ethereum like only today it actually burned a lot of like Ethereum on chain as well. Like the Ethereum right now is actually in the deflationary mode. So there are a lot of like factors we have to consider for just talking about the price of the Ethereum movement. So like for me, I personally try to neglect this kind of like analysis because to most of people, any short-term operations if you offer wrong, it actually will makes you feel, okay, what should I do? Should I buy in again right now? Like it actually will make you even more like in a better position. So my strategy is I just like dollar cost average buying the Ethereum. But first of all, not financial advice. I don't provide any financial advice. But that is my understanding for the Shanghai merge. And in terms of like in terms of like the impact on the liquidity, I think on-chain liquidity people will talk about it, especially after the like signal chain, like they triggered the unlock. I think a lot of people are gonna. I'm quite curious about which decentralized exchange will people choose to either sell or trading their Ethereums. I think this is one of very interesting topic. Yeah, this is my basically that's my to summarize what I'm trying to say. I think Shanghai unlock for the entire Ethereum 2.0 roadmap is a very small event. Thinking about the long-term vision of the Ethereum and the long-term how many protocols have been like built on top of the Ethereum and what it powers everyone. I think this is more important to discuss.
Well, that's awesome. That's really specific. Hey, Cole, what's your opinion on this?
Thanks, Kai. Yeah, well said, Daniel. So I think Shanghai will be a pretty big vote of confidence for the Ethereum ecosystem and DeFi, allowing ETH to be on-staked and the overall flow of ETH staking to work a lot more smoothly. So, I ultimately think Shanghai will add a lot more staking, long-term as sort of de-risks staking and, ultimately lead to more staking derivatives and, other DeFi, activity and DeFi derivatives activity. So I think it's extremely bullish for Ethereum and sort of, great to see it coming to fruition. So really excited to see sort of the increase in liquid staking derivatives and other DeFi activity, and as well as mid to long term increased staking. So yeah, keen to see what happens with Shanghai.
Already amazing. Thank you guys for this very good insights answers. Now we're gonna move to like the second question that's gonna be more general on the DeFi industry. So what are your perspectives on the challenges and opportunities facing the DeFi industry in 2023? And what are your projections and foresight for the future for DeFi? So I think for this question, we're gonna start off with Jack first.
Yeah, so actually Aspecta is building an AI-generated identity ecosystem to support different applications. DeFi is one of the areas we're focusing right now. So from our perspective, that we realize there are much more data, not only for on-chain data, but off-chain data. So there needs to be a reputation system or identity system, user-centric identity system to support the development of DeFi. So yeah, I believe in the future, the collaboration or intersection between identity project and DeFi project will be like have some significant improvement, that because we need more user-centric data to support innovation in DeFi project, no matter it's for credibility or other kind of innovations. So yeah, so from Aspecta's perspective, we are looking forward to work as an identity project to support the innovation and development of DeFi area.
All right, that's great. That's great. Hey, Lino, what's your perspective on this one?
So our perspective, because we focus on asset management, and we believe actually that the Shanghai upgrade is going to have a significant impact on the asset management business, especially from like to a certain way. You can imagine this like before you have a deposit, but they're going to give you back 6 months later, and but right now you have basically a liquid deposit and you can withdraw anytime you want. So they're going to be really diversify how people want to really deposit their money. On top of that, there will be a lot of different interesting products you can build and allow people to enjoy different deposit returns. For example, what we focus on right now, like, will be like, not only right now, people love to staking, and we'll provide basically leverage staking ETF, allow people to have like 3 times staking return, and also in the same time, actually, people don't need to manage the ETF on a daily basis, because there will be a professional team and institutions manage that. And that basically will help people, more people, no matter Web 2 or Web 3, to really enjoy the staking return, especially during the bear market. And the more diversity, the better for asset management. Yeah, that's my perspective.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, personally, I do a lot of staking during the during this bearish market as well. Sonali, would you mind take the share some of your insights? I know you have been silent for a while.
Oh yeah. I think that I think one of the things to definitely keep an eye on for 2023 in terms of the DeFi space is I think for sure going to be security. I think many of us can relate and also understand that last year was a very interesting year in terms of it being not just a bear market, but there were some events like from everything from like Terra Luna, which sort of like kicked off a crash, an unfortunate crash for the market, and then kind of ending the year with FTX, with the collapse of FTX. And so I think like moving forward, there's definitely becoming a greater demand for just more and just better security for users, because I think as we are onboarding, more users, and with so many new projects coming into the space, the DeFi space is a growing land of opportunity, with each project offering new ways, for users to earn a yield. But security is definitely is becoming a big topic. And so it's nice to see like some projects are now starting to invest in more into like the security tools and atmosphere. In terms of like what we're doing for DeFiYield, we're very I would say bull on security right now, and we've been that way, I would say, from the get-go. But as of recently, we coming out with tools, and so we take a look at like a lot of the space right now in security. But like right now, for example, like we have a tool that is called the Shield, and it's sort of like it's almost like the first antivirus for the DeFi space in a way, because it essentially scans your portfolio and it looks for any sort of like vulnerabilities that are detected in the smart contract code that are considered a high risk across the board in terms of the security department. And it gives users an opportunity to also like revoke, from our dashboard. But we also provide information of what that security risk is, so that they want to read more information about that, they can. And so that's like, I think really important to be able to provide tools like that, for users to help keep them safe. So yeah, I think that right now there's definitely, we're going to see, I think, a big push on the security sector for sure.
Oh, definitely. Security, I mean, in the past year, right, we have been going through so many security issues, in the space. It's definitely the most important thing is, keep the assets secure, for sure. Lastly, I would love to, have a Curtis to, discuss your insights on this one.
So I think specifically for us at Enya Labs, in working with the Boba network, we are very cautious about compliance, particularly with looming regulations. I think somebody mentioned earlier on the first panel that the SEC is looking into preventing Coinbase customers from being able to stake any of their crypto assets, which would prevent a lot of participation in those users being allowed to participate in governance and just validating any of the protocols that they're participating in. And for me, in particular, coming in from a TradFi background, Coinbase was my entrance into where I first bought Bitcoin, where I first bought Ethereum, and that was sort of my gateway into DeFi apps and that world. So if the SEC or other regulating bodies around the world decide to inhibit participants from staking or participating from in DeFi from some of the centralized exchange perspectives, that's going to be a huge blocker in participation and affect a lot of liquidity in the markets. I'm assuming many people will find the way around that and eventually get onto the decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and whatnot. And then on the other hand, we are really going to be focusing on utility and improving user experience and user interfaces. Web3 is known for its frustrating user interfaces and people not being able to do anything in a frictionless manner where they can on Web2 interfaces. So I think that's going to be a key driver in additional adoption and certainly a focus over the next year.
All right.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Go ahead, Chloe.
All right, perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. And then great conversation. So for the last one, since there's a little like time shortage, we're just gonna go very, very quick in like 1 or 2 sentences on that. So just asking like each one of you, is there any upcoming developments or update that we'll like to share with the audiences or give a little sneak peek of? We're gonna start with Cole.
Thanks, Chloe. So at Volmex, we're going to have some new derivatives exchange launching in the coming months. I would say stay tuned. We'll have a number of docs and different resources that will this exchange will offer, leverage and various, other sort of great features that are sort of unavailable. So get ready to trade volatility, add it to your portfolio to hedge or diversify, as well as, speculate on it, go long, go short. So keep updated with what we're doing at Volmex. Follow us on Twitter and, head over to our website to learn more. Thanks.
And then we can have Daniel go ahead.
Hello, Chloe. Do you mind to repeat the question?
Yeah, definitely. Just any upcoming development or updates that you would like to share with the audiences on your side.
I think may I ask what kind of vulnerabilities are you referring to?
For like your individual project, any insights in the upcoming plan and initiative?
Oh, yeah.
Project updates, just in general.
Yeah, okay. I think especially whenever there's a big event. I think last time when last time like ETH 2.0 and a bunch of like other events, like you will often see the fraud and on-chain fraud become more and more popular at that time. During that time, most likely there were people like airdropping you some like NFTs or some protocol just suddenly appeared and like selling either tokens or like you just interact with the contract like for some like random links. Basically, whenever there's a big event, always be careful about your on-chain activities. Remember to use like a hardware wallet and also be cautious on any kinds of like airdrop. That's what I think.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And then next we're gonna have a Curtis.
The biggest news recently is that the Uniswap community voted to deploy Uniswap v3 to Boba ETH. So that's really big news for us. We're looking to push it live within the next couple of months. So stay tuned for additional news on that. And then account abstraction as well across all of our instances.
Amazing. Can we have Jack to start off as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think there are pretty much very important milestone for Aspecta in the coming months. We have completed 2 rounds of alpha testing regarding our identity ecosystem, and we expected a public launch maybe at the end of March. So I would appreciate if you guys could stay tuned and follow Aspecta's Twitter to see our progress. And also we are going to co-host Stanford University Hackathon, where more than 1,600 participants has already joined. And we have several Hacker House events, research parties, etc. In Stanford, we will have major like participation in East Stanford. So yeah, I would say just stay tuned, follow Aspecta Twitter, and look forward to meeting you guys in East Stanford, and really excited about future collaboration opportunities with DeFi project.
Perfect, thank you. And also just a little off track, we're also going to be there for East Denver, Fenbushi Capital, so feel free to catch us there as well. And then we're going to start off with Sonali.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, definitely. Like any upcoming development or updates that I would like to share from your side, as you know, like DeFiYield, anything interesting for the upcoming year?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, happy to share happy to share some updates. So, I guess, some of the latest updates, right now, like I said, we came out with the Shield, which has honestly been like a really good game changer. We also just recently came out with our API. So we have an API for the Shield. We also have an API for our advanced smart contract scanner, where you can like plug in a smart contract code and it'll scan. It'll do like a really in-depth analysis. So yeah, and if anybody has questions in terms of wanting to understand like how in depth that actually goes and how that's different, say like for example for a Shield, how that differentiates from something like Revoke Cash, happy to tell you we have a comparison chart, that's simply and easy to share, no problem. But in terms of like additional updates, yeah, we also have. So for example, so for the Shield, that will alert you based on what you have in your current portfolio. So based on contracts that you've already approved. So it looks for any sort of vulnerabilities and it'll alert you of that, of what's being detected as a high risk. Now we do have also a browser extension. Now this definitely is a alpha, and that we will be announcing soon. And so the browser extension is similar to the Shield, but it's in the sense that it will alert you of high risk smart contracts. However, it's going to alert you before you approve the contract. So before you invest. So if you're looking at a liquidity pool or a token or even an NFT, for example, it will scan through the smart contract as you're engaging with it, and it will alert you if what the safety and risk profile of that contract is before you approve it. So I think that's going to be really useful and for the DeFi space, moving forward, because when I would attend events, that was one of the questions that used to come up a lot was when I would tell people about the Shield, a lot of people would ask, well, do you have something that will alert us before we invest? And so now we have that coming out. So it's coming out really soon. In terms of like other updates, we also have we're coming out with our own bridge, cross-chain bridge and cross-chain swap. That's also coming out in the next 3 months. That's going to be available on the DeFiYield.app dashboard. And then we also have a DeFiYield app that's coming out this year. That's going to be available for Android and iOS. That's also coming out this year. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a very exciting year with a lot of development, and so we're really excited because as of right now, I would say in terms of being a DeFi dashboard, we support quite a robust amount of chains. So we currently support 49 chains and 6, I think, or 7 central exchanges. So you can track your portfolio on there. But we're the first to support Cardano, the only to support Kava, and we also support 14 SDK Cosmos chains. So yeah, excited. It just makes life way easier because now you can just see everything in one place, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's a huge, big updates. Okay, lastly, I would, have Lionel to talk about, the updates.
Sure.
I think. Thank you.
No problem. So quick update. I know people are looking for right now a better investment opportunity. So, and as asset management, decentralized asset management protocol, we are actually going to provide working with several institutions, including Fenbushi Capital. We will launch actually multiple investment like staking series, like the triple ETH staking, triple ETH Matic, triple Sol staking. Those products for individuals and institutional investor in the second quarter of this year. And that actually give people a better return and also the convenience. And so that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess, to finalize this, I feel like, in the past bull run that, basically DeFi becomes something, something to kick off in the previous bull run, right? But back that time, it wasn't that mature. A lot of, the UI, the product are very, very simple. Not even, not just like maybe it's just basic like a demo kind of version for those no matter swap or whatever. But with those security, with those all those security issue happen, with all those also compliance issue happen later on, I do believe in the next bull run we'll see something new by convoluting the security, the compliance, and the product improvement that the builders should be able to deliver a more robust and solid product for the DeFi space. And looking forward to having the next market trend coming in. And thank you guys for everybody joining us today. And I guess I'll see the majority of you guys in the ETH Denver on March. Okay, I'll get back to Kalichi. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaimin, and thank you everybody, our speakers, and Chloe for being a moderator, and Kaimin as well. Definitely, I've learned a lot when it comes to how the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade will impact DeFi. We all know that when it comes to DeFi, there's a lot of things like some things that were mentioned, security, user experience, and of course the yield, and how that affects some centralized players. Those are really all interesting things to kind of look forward to as we enter into this the new era of the post Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. And I hope this upgrade brings back the DeFi summer of 2020. I know I experienced that, and that was really fun. Just seeing some of your portfolio just go crazy. And I know obviously Ethereum will be at the forefront of the innovation happening. We're already seeing the TVL on various layer 2 networks, going up, Arbitrum and Optimism. So definitely exciting times ahead as we look forward to the upgrade. Now, the next thing here, before we wrap things up, we are going to be doing the final quiz, and then we'll move to some audience questions, and then we'll wrap things up. So the second and final question for our quiz is, how many projects were launched on BitMart Launchpad in 2020? So how many projects were launched on the BitMart Launchpad in 2020? So that's the question. And remember to use the BitMart hashtag BitMart off the chain when you answer the questions to kind of increase your odds to win. So a slight tip there. So good luck to all the participants. Next, real quickly, I know we're running out of time, so we'll do some quick Q&A. We have 2 questions from our audience today, and speakers, feel free to jump in to answer these questions if you know them. So the first question is from our audience, like, are there any potential risks I should be aware of when it comes to the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade? Can anybody jump in for that one? Are there any potential risk ETH holders should be aware of? I'll take that as a no.
Do you want to open more micro requests?
Yes, let's see if I can open up more mics.
Yeah, you can open up more so that people can speak up, right?
Yes. Let me do that real quick.
Yeah, because they're waiting for the requests, I guess.
Yeah. See. Oh, Daniel just raised his hand. Daniel, do you want to unmute your mic?
Yes. Hi. Yeah, just to echo what you talked about, like about the security for the Web3. I think you should constantly worry about the security instead of just watching out your wallet security or your interaction security. Oh, this is a puzzle. Okay, I'm sorry. Is this a puzzle or like questions open everyone to answer?
Yeah, it's a question. Go ahead. It's just any potential risk ETH holders should be aware of during the ETH Shanghai upgrade.
Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to talk about securities in general because I also echo back previous post what he mentioned about the security, like lacking of the security in Web3. I think in general, like a bunch of most of the protocols in Web3, sometimes they lack of the traditional Web2 security as well. For example, like DNI's hijack, like we actually see very often back to last year. When we see a bunch of like the OG DeFi protocol got DNI's hijack, like Curve Finance, Convex Finance, it's all because our project team lack of the traditional Web2 security background. I think for everyone who's building a protocols here, spend some time to improve your team management. Spend some time to build some internal checklists to prevent this kind of like traditional Web2, not just only on smart contract level, but actually most of security stuff either on social engineering. Most of security events happened last year, are either on social engineering level or on the like a Web2 security level. This is one of the things I want to quickly add on top of the like the answers for your questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll give everybody one last chance to drop the inputs. Do you have anything to add? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. All right, I'll take that as a no. Thanks, Daniel, for answering that question for our audience. And I think we're pretty much out of time, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. Remember, all winners of our 500 USDT giveaway will be contacted within 72 hours on how to claim their prices. Beware of scammers. We will not contact you asking you for any sensitive information. It will be only to give information on how to claim your price. And please do some research and make sure you're interacting with the right BitMart accounts because there are impersonators out there. So we want to sincerely thank Fenbushi Capital for hosting this space with us today, and also our moderators and guest speakers. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to educate us about the Ethereum Shanghai upgrade, and also our DeFi panel as well. Very, very much appreciated. And last but certainly not the least, I want to thank our audience for tuning in today, for taking that time of the day to hear us talk about this topic. Really, really appreciate it. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. We will see you in the next BitMart Off the Chain AMA. Thank you, everybody, and have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Take care. Bye.